Hey guys, I was asked to show how to oil the bearings in a stack motor fan. This is not going to be a great video of it. I'm going to do a better one when I actually have a fan that needs oiling. This is just kind of a quick demonstration based on what I have around the shop. So here's an Emerson K55 motor that's been taken out of the fan. Doesn't need any oil, so we're not actually going to oil it, but we can use it for demonstration purposes. And as you can see, there's a shaft, end bell, stator. The rotor is the thing inside that spins. Another end bell. And there's two bearings. One here is right here at the top. The other one is at the opposite side of that at the bottom. It's on the other side of this plate here. So this is what a bearing looks like. Inside here are zillions of little balls that rub together. Let's see if I might be able to take this apart. I'm not sure if I have enough tools. This is a leftover bearing that's not in great shape. So we'll see if I can take it apart and show you what's inside. Hold on, I'll set the phone down while I do it. I may not have, this screwdriver might not be good enough to pop this cap off. I don't have all my, oh, there it is, yeah. So here's the inside of a ball bearing. You can see all the little balls rubbing together, and there's grease holding them in place. And the center part spins and the outer part doesn't. And that's what it looks like with the cap still on. Okay? So that's what's right in there. That little ring in there that you can see is that little ring right there. And so all we're doing is the equivalent. We're trying to get some oil in there to loosen up that old grease and get any dirt that's in there out of there. So, you know, this is what you're trying to do, is put oil in here. But you're trying to do it without actually opening it up, because once you open up, it's hard to press it back together again, and you're better off just buying new bearings. These cost anywhere from $2 to $10, so once you actually do that. So, in this case, it's easy for the top bearing. All you do is just fill up this whole area with oil. I'm not going to do it because it doesn't actually need oil, but just fill this whole area up with oil and spin it and let the oil work its way inside. Doing the bottom bearing is harder without actually taking the motor apart because it's on the other side of there. There's no easy access to it. Usually there are holes in the rotor. I don't know if you can see it. There are usually holes in the rotor, so if I've got an oil can, I can take it, find the hole in the rotor. I missed it. Let's see if I can find it. There we go, there it is. It's hard to get to, but sometimes you can get the oil through the hole in the rotor, and then it'll drip down into the bearing below. Sometimes you can access it from these. You know, there's however you can get to oil in the bottom. I mean, heck, it wouldn't even hurt if you just took this entire motor and dipped it in a bucket of oil and let it work its way into the bearings, and, you know, turn it to, that's actually not going to even hurt anything. I'm not recommending you do that, but that's essentially what you're trying to do. You're just trying to get oil to the bearings. I really want to be able to get this straw through the hole in the rotor here to show you, but I can't do it with one hand is the problem, and I'm holding the camera with the other hand. Anyhow, so, but the question is, if by the time you've got it taken this far apart, you might as well take it the rest of the way apart and replace the bearings. So the question is, without actually taking it apart, what can you do? Well, it's the same thing. This right here is just right there. So all I'm doing is just trying to drip some oil right in that bearing there. If any oil rubs on any brass parts, you'll want to wipe it off right away and then wash it off with some, you know, mild soap and water, because oil is not great for brass plating. It's not going to hurt any painted finish. So just dripping some oil in there, and then the same thing where you're going to try to work your way to that bottom bearing through the, you know, and again, the worst thing that's going to happen is oil is going to get on the brass finish, and you just clean it off. You're going to end up wasting some oil. There's going to be some extra oil. And, of course, in some cases, you'll want to take the housing apart to do it. You know, that's, you know, taking the housing off is one thing. Taking everything off is another. And then, the other thing about it is that I will usually use WD-40 first, because WD-40 is good for loosening up the old grease and getting rid of the dirt. and then after that you want to follow up with actual oil. Just like I said in the video for the spinner motor, this is not the ideal thing. If you look in here, this is actually grease packed in there. So this is a lot thinner than what would have been there originally. So it's going to end up loosening it up. It's going to run fine, but it's not going to be quite as quiet. You want it to run like a brand new one and be quiet like a brand new one. You just got to replace these. There are some guys that'll actually clean all this grease out of there and repack it with new grease. I don't recommend that. It's so much easier and you get so much better results just to replace these. And all you got to do is pry them out of there. Doesn't matter if you damage the old ones, prying them out of there. Pound the new ones in. There's a trick to that, but I'll show you if I ever get a chance to do that on a video. So, again, that's all we're trying to do. Sometimes also there's a little bearing that goes here between the shaft and the stationary shaft. If you can see it, it'd be underneath the switch housing there. Sometimes it helps to get a little oil or WD-40 up under there too. Again, you're going to use extra oil. So I'll do a more thorough video when I actually have one that that needs to be oiled. I mean, this one could use some, but it's not super stiff. You can see it should spin longer than that. Like, look at this. Yeah, that spins for a little bit. This stops quicker, but since these are just parts motors, they're going to get taken apart anyway. I don't want to use a whole bunch of oil on it and get oil everywhere when it's just going to be taken apart anyways. But the next time I have one that that does need it, I'll do a much more complete video. So on the next time I take one apart to replace the bearings, I'll do a video of that. It's not really that hard. Like I said, if it's basically my thinking for the most part is I'll try the oil and WD-40 method first, and if I can get it to run, you know, indistinguishable from a new fan with new bearings, then I'll leave it that way. And in some cases, if you're just doing that and it just will never free up enough, or it'll never get rid of bearing noise, not wet bearing noise, but like dry or dirty bearing noise, then I take it apart and I replace the bearings. But I almost always, unless I've got it apart for some other reason, I almost always try oil and WD-40 first. And if it's not very bad at all, sometimes WD-40 is all you need just to loosen up the old grease. But I wouldn't do that unless I could keep an eye on it and make sure that's all it needs. So, hopefully this video helped. And like I said, when I have a chance to do a better one, I will. Thanks for watching.